Okay, I'll say it one more time for the recording. Sometimes I forget to record it and then I can't put it on YouTube. And God knows I hate to deprive the world of these pearls of wisdom that come from this mouth. But Kimiko Anna Lindsay Schroeder is my daughter. She was born in 2006. She was diagnosed with stage 4 neuroblastoma cancer when she was 4 in September of 2010. She fought the beast for 8.5 years. She relapsed twice. She is considered a survivor because she survived for 5 years post-diagnosis. It's ironic that she's a survivor when she is dead, but that's how they count statistics for cancer, in case you didn't know. I am also a cancer survivor. I had stage 3 thyroid cancer that was diagnosed a couple months after Kimmy died. I did not want to get treatment for it. I wanted to die also and be with my daughter. My doctor thought I was kidding. I was not kidding. He said that thyroid cancer, it's the one you want to get. I believe it was papillary thyroid cancer, and I had to have a complete thyroidectomy. We were hoping they could save part of the thyroid because the thyroid is really important in regulating your body. But when he got in there, I think it had metastasized a bit around the thyroid area, so he took the whole thing out. And I have not had a recurrence. I believe I am due for scans. A scan, an MRI, something like that. Honestly, I don't worry about it too much. When you've resigned yourself to kind of wanting to die in a way, which I guess I have, these kind of things don't bother you. And after seeing what my daughter went through, what I went through was nothing. The operation was outpatient. I didn't spend the night. And I woke up and I wanted a big Caesar salad for lunch. And it was a damn good Caesar salad. My sister and my niece came from Chicago to help me. It was very kind and thoughtful of them. And my sister said she was really jealous because the salad did look very good. So there's that. So on Sundays, in addition to talking, I guess I should show you a picture of Kimmy. Would you like to see a picture of Kimmy? Well, I guess Kimmy and me. Let me fetch it. Give me a second. This is probably my favorite picture of Kimmy and me. Let's see. There we go. I'll show it to you guys in a second. This was right after she was diagnosed, and I got it done at the shop. Let's see if I can make this work. Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, I was bald for over a year. I wanted to be like Kimmy. Although it's funny because I tell this story all the time. When after a couple years, Kimmy had uh, gone through all the cancer treatment. She was doing well. She's back in school. Her hair had grown back, and then she relapsed. And I believe it was in May of 2013, or I think it was 2013. Might have been 2014. It's a blur. um, so I was sad, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you're gonna lose your hair again because of the chemo. Would you like mommy to shave my head again so we match?" And she says, "Mommy, I look really good bald, but you not so much. So no, you don't have to shave your head." And honestly, I was happy. It really it's hard to be bald. It's like a signal to the world that people assumed I had cancer. And it was kind of weird because I don't know if people thought, I don't know if anyone asked, but if they thought me and Kimmy both had cancer at the same time, which I guess it could happen. You know, it's not outside of the realm of possible. I've seen it on other people's blogs. Maybe just one. I think the mom was going through breast. Oh God, the mom was going through breast cancer when the child was going through either leukemia or might have been neuroblastoma. So anyway, on Church with Kimmy, I like to share some readings, share some prayers. I was looking into to I'm a lawyer, retired, and I was looking into the laws for tax deduct not tax deductible, but tax-free earnings. And normally if you're a nonprofit, you have to file a form with the IRS and they will grant you tax-free status. I think it costs about $650 to file this form, and it's like a 50, 60-page form. So I've done a couple of them, 3, and they went through with no problem. So you want them to go through without a problem. So you want to make sure you fill them out properly. Not a bad idea to have an attorney help you and pay someone. I think a lot of it, hopefully, a lot attorneys will charge a little bit less because it's for a nonprofit. Maybe do it pro bono, maybe. And I found out that to be a church, you don't have to file any paperwork. You're a church and you don't have to apply with the IRS. You can. So it's an interesting loophole there. But that made me think, well, I want to start a church. And one of the things I say is I have found a church that I like. It's called The Met, and it welcomes everyone. And I do mean everyone. LGBTQ plus. There's a lot of churches out there that say, oh, we welcome everyone, but not if you're gay or not if you're trans. And that's bullshit. Sorry. Jesus welcomed everyone, including prostitutes, according to the Bible, criminals, murderers. So I don't get how the church, well, it's not the church, it's people, right? And some people are shitty, and shitty people do go to church. Sometimes they're in charge. So does that mean you should not ever go to church? I don't know. I think there are churches out there. I thought I found a good church and it turned out not to be because of the people. So, but I do like the Met. Highly recommend it. They have them all around. I believe they're part of the United Church of Christ. And I grew up in the United Church of Christ, which is the most liberal church there is as far as anything you can think of. United Church of Christ is okay with it. And I like that. And that's how I grew up. So we didn't have a lot of these weird, anti-abortion, right to life, anti-gay, none of that kind of stuff where I went to church. So let's start out with our Sabbath. Let's start out with a little prayer. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm gonna fetch my books. Okay. So this is a book. I picked it up, I think for like $1 or something in a sale, but I really like some of the prayers in here. So here's one I marked. It's called Words and Actions. In the raising of children, Lord, can I teach them what I can't do? To observe them is to know that they're already developing skills they see me model. Oh, God, help. To equip them to become the best they can be, I must start with myself. Interesting. That's what's hard when you lose your child. having a child is the impetus for a lot of things in life, right? Earning money, saving for the future, being your best self. They're always watching, so you try to model good behavior. I tried. And just thoughts of the future. Grandkids, weddings, graduation, driving a car, all that stuff. Prom. When you lose your child, you lose all that, and it's really hard. It's just different. Losing my dad, he was 90. I was kind of ready for him to go. I told him, I said, "It's time, Dad. Go into the light." He had a miserable last year of life. He was very active prior to falling, getting into my car. We were going to see the chiropractor. He had some neuropathy in his feet. So I was going to have him treated for that. And he handed me his walker and was getting into the car, and he fell, broke his hip. And if you're 80, he was 89 years old, I believe, at the time. And once that happens, you are screwed as an old person. Oh, I just read this book. I won't go into it here, but it's about aging, and it is not good news. It is not. It's called Outlive by Dr. Peter Attia, Attia. It's an excellent book, but very, very frightening about aging and the realities of aging. And if you want to stay active and keep fit, like how much effort you're going to need to put into that. Okay. Yeah. I'll talk more about it. Not on my Church for Kimi. Church of Kimi. So I like to read from this book. Let's see. I'll put it over here. Sabbath. Can you see it? No, you cannot. There it is. There it is. Sabbath. It's by Wayne Muller. And my therapist recommended it to me back in 2001 or 2002. So I've had it for a long time. And I bet I never read the whole thing, but I do like it. This is interesting. This bookmarker that's in it is from Marina Del Rey. And I dated my third husband, Peter. Lived in Marina Del Rey, so I spent a bunch of time up there. We met up in Venice Beach. So anyway, when the Mass begins in a cathedral, the space is transformed the instant the first prayer is offered. The space is not different, but the time has been transformed. When monks enter an ashram or monastery and sit in silence, only when the bell is rung does the meditation begin. The space may be the same, but the time is consecrated by the mindfulness that arises in the striking of the bell. When Muslims are called to prayer 5 times each day, all work ceases, and all the ancient words, spoken aloud for centuries, rise like fragrance to the skies. Just so, during Sabbath, the Jews, by keeping sacred rest, could maintain their spiritual ground wherever they were, even in protracted exile from their own country. It was not Israel that kept the Sabbath, it is said, but the Sabbath kept Israel. Well, those are powerful words. Read a little bit more. The practice of Sabbath is like the practice of taking refuge. In Buddhism, one takes refuge in the Buddha nature, and in the wisdom of the Buddha, and in the family of the Buddha. In so doing, we join the company of all those who have sought healing and liberation. We surrender into that place where Buddha nature already lives within us, and we align our intention with our innate natural perfection. Thus, when we sit in meditation, all the saints and ancestors send us loving kindness as they accompany our each and every breath. Jesus offered this same beautiful practice to his disciples. Make your home in me, he said, as I make mine in you. The kingdom is within you, he reminded them, alive and miraculous this very moment. I am with you always. When you come to rest, you will feel me. You will remember who you are, that you are the light of the world. Much of modern life, of course, is specifically designed to seduce our attention away from this inner place of refuge. When we are in the world with eyes wide open, the seductions are insatiable. Hundreds of channels of cable and satellite television, telephones with multiple lines and call waiting, so we can talk to more than one person at a time, fax machines, mail, email, and overnight mail, billboards, magazines, newspapers, radio. Every stimulus competes for our attention. Buy me, do me, watch me, try me, drink me. It is as if we have inadvertently stumbled into some horrific wonderland. Sabbath time can become our refuge. During the Sabbath, we set aside sanctuary in time, disconnect from the frenzy of consumption and accomplishment, and consecrate our day as an offering for healing all beings. It's interesting, this is so old. Like they didn't even have streaming back then. And streaming is a huge time suck, isn't it? Uh I I like it, but I have been sucked in for too long. So now I try to really limit myself to my streaming watching and binging. The other thing that they mentioned was meditation. And if you don't have a meditation practice, I really recommend that you start. It's not icky. It's that it hasn't like people think it's hard, it's boring, but it's like having a little break or nap in your brain. I like I strive, I don't always achieve it, but I strive to just do a few minutes in the morning and a few minutes before bed, and it just kind of like refreshes your mind. You can do it for longer if you want to, but just uh, start out with 30 seconds, start out with a minute, and you're just learning to just focus, and you don't have to clear your mind, just let your thoughts, they come in your mind and they drift out. You're supposed to think of them like leaves drifting down a stream. So it's okay to have those thoughts. That's how you practice meditation. And you'll think about the grocery list and your to-do list, and that's okay. But then just let it go. And there's some great free apps out there. I'll have to write them down. I'll mention them next time because I think meditation is an important part of Sabbath and rest. It's rest for your mind. And there's just all kinds of studies that have proven how effective and beneficial meditation can be. I took a year-long meditation course with a guru, and we had a lecture every week for at least it was over an hour, and we meditated. We did a guided meditation, and that was taped. During the week, we had to listen to the lecture and we had to listen and do the meditation. We had to do yoga 2 to 3 times a week. It was very regimented and very demanding. We had to also do service. We had to do something with the ashram. The cynical side of me says it was a good way for them to get free help, but it is how it works. Buddhist monks do work in the ashram also. So it was like administrative work, or you could go help at the ashram with the gardening, that kind of thing. I heard a rumor that he slept with some of the not me, but that he slept with some of the younger ladies that were his followers. People, he was such a, like you get hero worship. That's kind of how it was. And I will say this, he was a very magnetic, he had a very magnetic personality. He was a good speaker. He had had some really deep experiences. He was German and he was a child during World War II. And he tells us a story about how this bomb fell on this building they were hiding in the basement of. And he really thought he was going to die, and he didn't. And ever since then, he sort of had this expanded view of things. So that was really interesting. And I will say that after a year of this meditation courses, it was like a series. Every couple months they would start a new series so you could just keep going. Oh, you also had a meditation buddy that you got matched up with for each course. You had to do this artwork project for the course. It was really good. I think I won the first course in not a raffle, maybe like a silent auction. And that's how I got started in it. And I remember he was sort of lecturing to us, and he said, who here hasn't done their service work yet? And I raised my hand and he's like, why not? And I said, I don't have time to go to the bathroom at work. I don't have time to do this service work. And he said, if you don't have time to go to the bathroom at work, you've got some more serious problems than just fitting in this service work. And it really got me thinking. And I ended up quitting my job and going to work half time for a client. I was at a bigger firm after law school, Big Law, we called it. Although I don't know, it was more of a San Diego firm. It was not a national firm, but I liked it. I summered there. You call it summering. You work as an attorney, a summer associate at law firms, and your summer's off from law school, and they pay you a ton of money, and you do all kinds of fun stuff, and they try to convince you to come work at their firm, and they hide all the horrible parts from you. It's it's very unrealistic about what your life will be like. And I think the attorneys there, when I became an attorney, we were discouraged from telling these poor summer associates the truth. Although I think I'm a pretty honest person. So I think I kind of did tell them what hell they were in for. So let's see. We've only got a few minutes left. I'd like to do a little reading from Khalil Gibran, the Prophet. I think this is my favorite book, right? Like well, I don't know. It's my favorite. It's definitely my favorite book of poetry. I'm not a huge poetry person, I'll be honest, but I like this kind of poetry. So today we are going to learn about, oh, I like this one, on joy and sorrow. This is a good one. Then a woman said, speak to us of joy and sorrow. And he answered, your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the selfsame well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say, joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. Wow, it's very profound. I think about that because losing Kimmy has, wow, I've experienced a grief unlike a grief I've ever known before, right? Losing my dog, no. Losing my brother, difficult, very difficult, but not as hard as losing my daughter. Losing my grandmother, grandfather, tough, uncle, but not the same. Losing your child, it's just so hard because they're not supposed to go first. They're supposed to lose you, not the other way around. And you lose just them and their whole future, and you just love the love you experience for a child is just, I think it's different. I think you can not love family members or ex-husbands or boyfriends or what girlfriends, but and I guess there's some people that are psychopaths and cannot love their child. I guess that does happen, but for the most part, I created this person inside of my body with the help of God. I created her. And that's really powerful that I helped create this person. And then to lose that person has been 5 years, and I thought I was through the worst of it, and I had a really bad couple months earlier this year. So I guess grief, they say it comes in waves, and you think you're doing okay, and then a wave just comes out of nowhere and knocks you over, and you're thrashing around on the surf. If you've ever been in the ocean, you know how that feeling is, and you feel like you're drowning and you're fighting to get to the surface. And there's a part of me that doesn't want to survive. I don't like having that part, but that's where I'm at. And I know a lot of other parents who've had the loss of their child feel the same way. And I think when you have other children, that's helpful. Although I think it would be hard to have other children and have to sort of pretend for them like everything was okay when it's not. But on that sad note, I just want to close with my favorite, my other favorite book, A Child's Prayer, copyright 1968, given to me by my godmother when I was a little kid. And I don't know why I still have it. Let's do a prayer for summer, even though we're not in summer yet, but it's coming. For summer's days so full of fun, for fleecy clouds and pleasant sun, for lakes and rivers, grass and trees. Thank you, Lord, for all of these. Amen. Short prayers are good for little kids. They don't have a huge attention span. Well, thanks for being with me. Feel free to comment. So feel free to get a hold of me if you want to talk about any of this stuff. I'd love to hear from you. Feedback. I don't feel like I'm dressed appropriately today, but I like trying something new, you know. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Bye-bye.